Okay, hello and welcome to another knee-jerk movie review. I review movies within minutes of watching it, and I just finished a movie, and I was tricked into watching this. And you're going to say, well, how are you tricked into watching a movie? Well, I actually have grandkids, and my grandson, since he was 3 years old, has been able to come over. He knows how to pick up one remote and turn on the TV, and pick up the other remote, which is a Roku. I have a Roku stick on my TV, and he knows how to go to Netflix and find the show he wants. He knows how to go into the kids section. He knows he's 4 years old. He also knows how to go into YouTube and look for YouTube videos that he wants. Both my other grandkids are like that. They're 5. They've been doing it since they were a young age. They do it on their own TV. They know how to come over and do it on mine. It kind of, it's funny these kids are going to grow up with this technology. But what happened was he came over, he wanted to watch the Power Rangers. He was in Netflix, and I wasn't even paying attention. I was cooking or something. And he was in Netflix looking for Power Rangers. And I get a text on my phone, and it says, "Thank you for your purchase." Well, somehow he had gotten into Amazon Prime. Now, they know how to go on Amazon Prime because I do buy movies for them. And somehow he went into Amazon Prime, he found the Power Rangers, and he purchased the Power Rangers on my card. So I'm going to have to fix that so it never happens again, because I don't want the kids suddenly buying movies on Amazon over and over again, because some of them are quite pricey. But anyway, I was like, "You're going to watch this movie." And when it started, of course, this is the origin of the Power Rangers, so the very first part is kind of boring to a 4-year-old kid. And he left. And so I thought, what the heck, I'll watch it. I never was a huge fan of the Power Rangers. I always thought it was very campy. I could see why people were fans of it. It was one of those shows that grew. It started out as this really campy show with these campy monsters from Japan, and it grew over the years, and it grew a big following. It wouldn't have been as successful as it was if it didn't have a huge following. There were some great movies out. Now, I kind of, I had my kids were young when the first iteration came out, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And I understand there's been many iterations since then. Don't ask me to go into them all. But this movie is based on the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Um, well, as a not fan of the Power Rangers, I watched this movie just basically to see how it was. I heard a lot of people liked it, and it wasn't a bad movie. It starts out kind of strong. You see the backstories of the kids, and they're in this. When I grew up watching the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, they were all like local good kids, and they all had talents already. I remember Kimberly was a gymnast, and Jason was a not kickboxer, but he was in karate. And they all had these skills already, and they were chosen by Zordon based on how good kids they were. In this one, the coins chose them, kind of like, oh, they saw inside their heart and saw that they were good kids anyway. But they were all sort of misfits. They're all, it's like the Breakfast Club. And I know that, even though I haven't seen the movie, I've read some trivia on it, and it was like I knew that this movie was kind of based on these kids coming together in detention because they were all in trouble and they were misfits. And so this is how they met. And they get in trouble in well, I don't know why. And Billy, he's the smart one, but for some reason he was digging in this quarry, and they didn't really explain if he knew something was there or if he was just digging. But they find the coins, the power coins. And of course, this gives them superpowers. Now, again, I don't remember this happening in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, but it's part of this story. But they all become super strong. They all become super agile, and there's lots of scenes where they're flicking notes back and forth at lightning speed, and they're like catching it, and it's kind of cool. But they find out they have these powers, and then they meet Zordon, and there's a little bit different backstory on Zordon, and he gives them the 3 rules. What were they? You can't escalate a battle. You can never tell anyone who you are, and you can't use your powers for personal gain, which basically means all these kids have to have all these powers and not tell anybody about them. And strangely enough, excuse me, now that I've said that, I wrote a story once because I like to explore emotions in my stories. And I wrote this story once where these people have to save the world, but they can't tell anybody about it. And they're going to die. And not only are they going to die, because it's kind of like a suicide mission, but no one's going to know about it. And people are going to think they abandoned their families and jobs because they all just like vanished. And so I like to explore that. And that's kind of like when I saw this movie, I thought, oh man, that's just like that story I wrote where these people, are heroes, but they can't tell anybody about it. And it's always a struggle because we always want to brag. We always want to say, hey, that was me doing that. But no, these kids, that's why the Power Coins chose them, because they're humble in heart. And so anyway, not enough of the philosophical stuff. It was a decent movie. I don't know, it flowed well. It's over 2 hours long. Well, 2 hours and 30 minutes, I think. But the action doesn't start until like 3/4 of the way into the movie. The first part is all the meeting Zordon and Alpha and learning about their powers, and they can't quite morph, and they can't morph, and they can't understand why they can't morph. And I missed, again, this is a knee-jerk review, so I'm just coming off the movie and I had to look it up, but I missed what Kimberly did to get detention. She did something. Apparently she beat up a girl and posted pictures of it or something, and I didn't understand that. But she thought the Rangers have to come together as a family to morph, and that's what Zordon was trying to tell him. And so it's kind of campy in that respect. These kids coming together and saying they would give their life for each other. And there's a really sad scene in the middle that I won't get into. Really sad. So that brings them together, and then they find the power to morph, and then they face Rita a couple times, and then Goldar. In this movie, he's literally gold. And there's a big battle. And some of the things you've always wanted to see in the series, but never could, are in the movie. So, like, he's actually smashing buildings, and he's actually, breaking things and stepping in cars, and they show blood. How many times in the Power Rangers show did you see where a Power Ranger got punched and blood came out of their mouth? It's just like, it's really, it was really different to have all these elements added in there. It was more gritty. It was like, I don't know, once they morphed and became the Power Rangers, have their big battle and show the Zords off, and show Rita's power off, then the movie was over, and you're like, oh. And they're setting this up for, and this is how I've seen movies happen in the past. They set up the first movie's all the origins and stuff, and a little bit of action at the end, and then you're hoping the next movie is going to like start out with action and go with action all the way through. So maybe they're setting that up. They really did set up how Rita got on the moon, and in the show she had a moon base and all her minions on the moon, and she would occasionally attack. Well, every episode she would attack the Power Rangers and test their mettle. But Angel Grove, I know that this was a big deal with Superman. I never saw Superman, by the way, but I know this was a big deal with Superman. But there's all this destruction, and people had to die, and it's all glossed over like nothing happened. And this movie was no different. Goldar, when he marched down Angel Grove and was smashing buildings, at some point somebody had to die. In fact, in the beginning when Rita's gaining her powers back, people did die and they showed their bodies. But again, it's just kind of glossed over. They're like going, woohoo, we're the Power Rangers, not going, oh God, 300 people died. I don't know. I know it's a kid's show and they can't do that. Maybe throw in an explanation somewhere, but I don't know, that just always bothers me, and I'm not trying to be critical because it is a fun movie. Just, I don't know, that kind of thing bugs me. But anyway, it's a superhero movie. It's about what you expect. I think it was made more for fans of the Power Rangers, because I'm not a fan, and frankly the first three-quarters of the movie were boring, and I don't know how they could have done it differently, because I always watch a movie and think, oh, how would I have done it differently? But they just had to develop the characters, and I think this was all just a setup for whatever part 2 is going to be. And I can see a lot of the monsters from the show showing up in part 2. Maybe they have a montage of them fighting different monsters. But hopefully they figure out how to set it so that, I don't know, less people die, or maybe the people dying make more of an impact. Kids, I know it's a kids movie, but it's a people died in this movie. I don't know, I can't get over that fact, and like I said, I just watched the movie, so I'm still mulling things over in my mind. But would I recommend it? Sure. If you're a Power Rangers fan, if you grew up like me, I wasn't born in a Power. My kids were little kids watching Power Rangers for the first time when it was aired for the first time, so they're kind of fans. Me, I was an adult watching Power Rangers for the first time, thinking, oh, who comes up with this stuff? Who comes up with these stupid monsters and these crazy costumes? It's so stupid. And every time, every story is exactly the same, and it never, oh God, it just drove me nuts. And that's what I saw in this movie. I was like, okay, this is the origin story. This is how they start out. This is how they learned how to morph. This is how they got their Zords. I couldn't figure out what the six-legged Zord was, because I thought the six, they're supposed to be a mastodon, but this thing had 6 legs, so I wasn't sure about. Anyway, I digress. I guess good popcorn movie to put on when you got a bunch of friends over and they're going to be talking anyway. Movie for fans, because I think my kids went to see it. I think they loved it. So movies of fans of the original Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Let's see, Bryan Cranston's in it. I don't recognize, I guess some of the kids, it's funny because I'm an old man watching these movies, and I don't recognize these actors, but, they're like, oh, that's the singer, and that's, I don't know. So, yeah, I did recognize the voice of Alpha. It drove me crazy, and as soon as it was over, I looked it up on IMDb, and I'm like, oh, yeah. Now I can picture who the guy is. But every time he talked, I'm like, oh, that voice is so familiar. And I loved Alpha. That was in the show. Alpha was this zany character, but this one is just, I don't know, it was kind of cool looking. Spaceship was kind of cool. Again, this isn't the same story as Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. They completely retconned it. It's a new imaging. I don't know where they'll go with that. I don't even know if this is still on television. It just seems like it never ends on television. I know when I let my kids watch it, my grandkid, who's 4 years old, flipping through Netflix, he's like, oh, this is Ninja, and this is Dino, and this is, God, I can't remember them all. It seems like there's 20 different kinds. So I could see this being a movie franchise. It's just, as long as they're making money, it's probably never going to die. But they can't keep making money on just the nostalgia of the kids who grew up with it. They're going to have to do something to bring in people like me to watch it. Like, I was never a fan of Marvel comic books. I thought the Marvel heroes were, I don't know, Superman seemed real to me. I love Superman. I'd always read Superman as a kid. But I'm hooked on the Marvel movies, and I know I can criticize and I can do anything about these Marvel movies, but I just love them and I'm into them. And so they took the nostalgia of the old Marvel heroes and made it into something that I would want to watch. They pulled in new people, and that's what Power Rangers are going to need to do if they're going to survive this franchise. Because if the next movie, and it's obvious they've set it up for a next movie, if it doesn't become something that a lot of people want to see and not just kids that grew up with Power Rangers, it's not going to survive. It'll be the last one. So I'm just hoping they come up with something new. I don't know. In my other movie reviews, I talked about some tropes and stuff, but a lot of them in here, but they did a good job of it. I think the writing was good. I think the story was good. I guess this was a story that was already told years ago, but it all fit together really well. It flowed well. Just, I wish I wouldn't gloss over the killing of so many people. um, but anyway, good movie. I would give it like 9 stars out of 10. 90 out of 100, which is the same thing. 4 out of 5. 4 thumbs ups out of 8. I don't know. But good movie. 4 out of 5 stars. 9 out of 10. I'd take a few off because, I don't know, there are some, it's not for kids. I don't know if they knew who their audience was. But fun movie. Recommend it. Not many criticisms. It was like, well, it didn't hold the attention of my 3-year-old who loves watching Power Rangers every day, but I think that's just because the whole first half of the movie, 3/4 of the movie, was just the setup for the last little bit of the movie. Kids aren't going to be into that, but as an adult, a good popcorn movie, put it on while you're doing the dishes or something, you'll be good to go. Again, this is the Power Rangers, the 2017 movie that apparently it's on Amazon now because my grandson bought it for me. And I'm going to have to figure out how to block that so it doesn't happen again. Maybe I thought I had to put my password in if I was buying a movie, but I might have overrode it because a couple weeks ago I bought like a whole bunch of movies at one time, and I must have did something because he was able to do it, and I need to make sure that it doesn't happen again because I could see that getting very costly. So anyway, that's my knee-jerk movie review of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. You know, I don't even know what the movie was called, and I'll correct it when I do the title on YouTube, but it's Power Rangers, the 2017 movie. It's a good TV movie. I'm glad I didn't pay money to see it in the theaters, but good TV movie, good popcorn movie, good background movie. So I'm going to leave it go with that, and with that I'm going to sign off. This is Randy, and don't forget to look for my books on Amazon. Thank you.